Hello everyone, welcome to Leadership Lecture Series Alumni Speak. Bandwidth has always been a problem and will continue to be a problem in emerging markets. The industry landscape change in video consumption, video across all screens and video on demand compounds the bandwidth challenge, leading to a need for innovations in the field. Today's talk will present the technology demos from Touchfone, which is a startup by our speaker. Startups is a new welcome trend among the young technocrats and what it takes for the entrepreneur and the ecosystem to build the innovative culture in India. Our today's speaker is Mr. Brahmaya Akella. He is a BTech in Mechanical Engineering 1976 batch and MS in Control Systems 1983. He did his executive MBA from IIM Bangalore and Babson College, Boston. A major part of his career was in Siemens, where as VP real-time systems, he built a large business group offering solutions in medical imaging systems, hospital management systems, automotive and process control. At Touchstone's technology in being built for streaming videos under bandwidth constraint networks and across all devices. May I now welcome Mr. Brahmaya Akella to grace us with his lecture.
Thanks everyone for joining us here. So I'm going to talk more about the landscape of the markets that are there and what kind of problems that we really need to address in the conversation. The purpose of putting this video, what I want you to understand is this is a live stream. There's no buffering. I can watch a complete 3-hour movie without a single buffer. You're seeing a small screen out. Actually, it took me more than 45 minutes to get this working here because I have to cut through the firewalls because all the videos are blocked. I had to change a whole lot of stuff in the auditorium here. The screen that you see reduced, I didn't want to mess around further between the aspect ratios of the projector and this. Actually, in a normal, if I remove the projector, this will go to the full screen. I mean, you will see a proper aspect ratio movie. This is a live stream. In fact, if you compare it with some of the technologies, including YouTube or any site that you are familiar with, it's almost impossible in India to get a 3-hour video or a movie running without a single buffer. And this is a great challenge. And what really goes into it, and why should we solve this problem? So that's something that I'm going to talk about today. So I mean, just to get you a feel of the demo, I mean, what speeds we are talking about, I'm going to fast forward this. There it is. It just continues. And that's the speed. It's order of magnitude higher. So what has really gone into getting this kind of speeds in video? So that's the whole talk about it. So as I said, before I come to the technology, I'm going to talk a little bit more from a student-centric point of view, because if I was sitting there, I would rather be more interested looking at what I'm going to do after graduating from here. I mean, what are the options available to me? I'm going to talk a little bit of that and then come to the video streaming part of it. Is that okay with you? I can restructure it otherwise. See, there's really one of the brilliant books that I've read. And in fact, in one of the companies that I was working, we were forced to read this book. This is a book called Innovator's Dilemma. And this author really expands your mind about what innovation is all about. Sitting in IIT as a student, my concept of innovation is so very different. It's about a new equation or a new mechanism or a new device, or it's kind of really very, very narrow. And that kind of limits my thought process itself into trying to innovate what's really needed in the market. When you read this book, you will see how companies have innovated and really become very large companies. Technology performance definitely is one of the areas of innovation which a lot of us are very familiar with. The other area of innovation is the price. An identical thing working available at a lower price, that's a great innovation too. In fact, when I was working in Siemens, we used to have these complex PID controllers. The next level of innovation, the box was reduced to half the size. Did exactly the same job. And when you open the box is just a hollow box. The whole thing was done by a small contraption sitting there, but no one would pay you the same price unless you give a box of that size. So they kept the box so that they will pay. But inside that innovation, they knocked off a huge number of components that improved the reliability, brought down the price. So the innovation, you have to kind of expand your sense of what is innovation. Innovation on business models. How do you do business? Certain companies, in fact, in the media industry, the business model is one of the most complex things. I'll discuss that a lot more detail when I really come into the Touchfone part of it. Security reasons. I'll just give you a rattle of a few examples just to give you, I mean, you shouldn't kind of think in the same groove of what can be innovative in a security. I'm talking from a business point of view. US government is one of the largest purchasers of printers. They'll never buy a printer made outside United States. A very large percentage of HP printers go into the US government. It is just plain security reasons that you are there in the market. Supply chain. That's another, I mean, it's a huge area for innovating, of making something available, which otherwise would not be available. I mean, a very simple supply chain issue, a very classic example that I can give you. There is a company called Radhakrishna Hospitalities. I don't know how many of you have even heard of it. This is a Bombay Stock Exchange listed company. All they supply is lunches. So what is the innovation? When India started oil drilling in the sea, there were hundreds of people there on the platform who would supply them lunches. The entire concept of this company was built on supplying lunch to people on an offshore platform. Today it's one of, I mean, it's a 1,000+ crore company. You know? So innovation, I'm just talking of plain innovation. Could be convenience, could be availability. So expand your horizon of what innovation is. So when we set out, so normally when we get into a startup, we need an idea, or we start with an idea. Usually what we end up is, we bet on a racehorse, as we call it. We love the idea because it's our idea. We continue to keep on backing it, in spite of the market telling us that this is not a great thing. It may be a great product. There are lots and lots of great products which have died. Issue is, does the market need this product? And this is a very, very important thing that you always need to benchmark or keep asking yourself all the time. Knowledge of the ecosystem and practices. This is also an important factor. How people do business in that area. And usually when you innovate, a very common mistake which people do is they currently look at what is available and they try to innovate around that. But by the time your product comes out, you're already outdated. So you have to know the technology that is going to be 12 months ahead of time. So that, I think, is a very important factor. Now this is irrespective of a startup or a no startup. These are some of the core, and this information usually it's not available to you unless you are feet on the ground in the market meeting people who are buying the product. And that's the core of, I mean, this is the essence of when you start an organization or start a company. I think this is something that you must be well aware of to reduce or minimize your chances of a failure. So what is the upside of all these things? One is in India, unlike the Silicon Valley or wherever, the kind of market that's accessible to you is absolutely huge. It's a humongous market that you can address. You have to know that it's an extremely price sensitive market. Now price sensitivity does not mean it's an adversity for you. It can also be an opportunity where you innovate around the price itself. And I'll show you where a whole lot of these kind of innovations that happen in the same field that we work on. Monetization is an extremely difficult thing. See the number of models of mobile phones that are sold in India, nowhere else they sell these number of models. In US, very dominantly it's iPhone or one of those Samsung, the Android phones. And that kind of approximately takes away about 80–90% of the market. In India, if I go to an operator and ask him for the list of phones that are there on his network, the list runs beyond 2,500 to 3,000 depending on the operator. I'm talking models. It's primarily because one, price sensitivity, the market is so huge. So there are the kind of problem that you're dealing with is a completely different kind of a problem. Yeah, next. So now we come back to the core theme of today's talk, which is all about videos. So there's a whole lot of change, or there's a whole lot of trend change that is happening over the years, primarily because access to bandwidth, that's data, access to screens, which could be a feature phone, smartphone, tabs, PCs, televisions, the whole lot of screens that are available, and the penchant of people to watch longer and longer forms of content. Earlier, typically video meant 5 minute, 8 minute, couple of years back. A company like Netflix could succeed in US or some of these developed countries primarily because of one, the infra there is completely at a different level, and I'll discuss what the infra issues are here in India. And in spite of that, they had to do a whole lot of technology just to get their things working, the movies streaming working there. So what kind of long form content? It's movies, TV serials, live shows, recordings. I mean, it could be live cricket matches, documentaries. Educational videos is completely new entrant into the market. And this is growing at a tremendous pace. So there's a huge uptake on the demand for these kind of requirements. So that gives you on a mobile phone, so those three bars will tell you what is the length of the clips that people are watching, what's the average. I mean, it's not that you watch a complete 3-hour movie on a mobile. We have what is called a multi-screen facility. You start, say at home, you're watching a TV, it's time for you to go to work. You get into your car, continue on your phone, probably reach your office, maybe you continue on your PC, and it just continues from one screen to another. Yeah, next. So, and what is the urban-rural divide? Why am I taking you into all these things? I mean, you might be wondering. The idea is where exactly is the market and what exactly you need to do to address or capture the market. And I'm just trying to build the whole context for where is the need for innovation and why we had to innovate in those areas. Otherwise, technically, it's a solved problem. So you see the urban and the rural divide. For music videos in the urban area, it's a little lower down the line because emails and other things are there. Whereas in the rural side, that's a primary form of entertainment that they have access to. And that is a huge population. The rural population is a much larger population than the urban population. So, next. And what's the trend looking like? Down the line, video will become the most dominant consumer of data. These are from all the standard reports that are available in the market from KPCB or any of these. Yeah, next. Okay. Now this is a very interesting slide which was very recently released by a company called Uyala. They have a research department. They are one of our biggest competitors and they got acquired recently by Telstra. This is a US based company. What really comes out here, in fact we were surprised with a lot of this data. We all believe that video streaming is a problem in India or the developing countries. But the data shows even in countries like US, this is a challenge. There are multiple reasons for that. The expectation of what you want to see on a video is also increasing compared to what bandwidth you have. If you have X bandwidth, you want a resolution which is higher than that. You want HD. If you have a 3 MB line, you want something that really requires a 5 MB line. It's always like that. So you're always unsatisfied with what is there. So this is to show that this is a universal problem. It's not something that we are the only ones facing this kind of a challenge. In fact, we did a lot of tests, comparative tests, even with Netflix in California, in garages. And to our surprise as well, we did better than Netflix in those garages. Yeah, next. Okay, now I come back to India. What is the market landscape out here? What kind of a product really we need out here? We all are familiar with smartphones. Probably a lot of us sitting out here have smartphones. But what is the percentage of smartphones in the total market that we're talking about? It's a very small percentage. Even globally, if you take 5 billion mobile connections, mobile devices being used, only 1.5 billion are smartphones on a global basis. The number is far less even in India. The current shipments of smartphones is high. So it will be several years before they catch up. Actually, in India today, 80% of the phones are still feature phones. They are not the smartphones. So that's on one side. The second side is another very important data point out here is there are a very large number of connections for whom the first internet experience for them has been only on the mobile phone. They've never seen a PC tab or any of those things. Their first internet experience is on a mobile phone, and it will continue to be that. It's not that it's going to get replaced soon. The mobile internet connections have already surpassed the PC or the large screen connections or the broadband connections, Wi-Fi, all that. So keep that in mind. So what is the market that you are addressing? Is the feature phone market, I'll come to the bandwidth part of it. Yeah, next. So bandwidth, I think this is something which I'm sure a lot of operators would like to hide this data. So the number of towers that we have is about 7,36,000, and this is as for 2013. The numbers would have marginally changed over 2014, but the trend is by and large about the same. Only 96,000 of them are 3G enabled. It has nothing to do with you getting access to the tower or any of those things, just that only so many towers have 3G ability. Normally, a 3G as per standard must have a fiber backbone connected to the MCO, the MCNs. Of the 96,000, only 35,000 are fiber connected. The rest are on microwaves. A microwave connection is a very choppy connection, very unpredictable connection. It just keeps going up and down. There are multiple reasons for that. I think you guys can figure it. I mean, you're all engineers there. So what is the investment to convert this? If you have to convert India to a 3G connected world, the investments are in the range of 50 billion. And I don't think any operator or the government is going to spend this kind of. China spent that kind of money to bring their entire country onto minimum 3G. We have yet another issue of what's the spectrum that is allotted. Only 5 megahertz. So that's again a area where you have a natural constraint out there. So what happens is the operators want to sell more and more 3G connections. Your bill definitely will be 3G bill, but the data that you actually get is going to be far. If you at a particular point you may get 3G. Like in this place, I don't get a 3G connection, though I have a 3G plan. I only get a edge connection. So edge is going to be a dominant connection that we will be having over a long time. Okay. So what did we start? So keeping all this data, we said, okay, we have to solve this problem in some way or the other. We really can't wait for the whole country to go 3G before we can start videos. So that's when the whole company started in 2009, and we started working on this problem. And we have been, making, I mean, it's not a single trick pony that you turn the switch and everything works. It's never like that. There is a whole lot of things that we need to do. Next slide. So I just kind of summarize the problem that we were facing with. One is the demand for consumption is very high and increasing exponentially. Second is the quality expectation on the videos, the video from the customers, that's very high. Demand for long form content. When I say long form content poses a very special problem. I don't know how many of you really are working in the video streaming or video technologies here. See, one of the technologies which probably YouTube and Google, all these companies use is what is called progressive downloads. So what it does is you'll see 2 bars out there. While it's playing one, the other bar is showing how much of it is downloaded. So this is called a progressive download. So if you have, it works very fine for a 10-minute kind of video where you wait for about 30-40 seconds or 1 minute, which is about 10% or 15% of the video, and it starts and they catch up. Now what happens if I have to do a 3-hour movie? I probably will have to wait for half an hour, 45 minutes before the movie starts. And that's really not video on demand. So we had to kind of set aside that, and we had to build a completely new technology there. The device diversity. I make it work on one device. I told you there are 3,000 devices. I have to make it work on so many large number of devices. So this is another challenge that we face with. Screen diversity, the screen sizes. That's another area that we need to address. The customer spectrum is extremely wide. There are customers who want the video, but they're not interested in paying. And this is a very special feature in this place. But it's, believe me, I mean, it's not something that you need to laugh at. I mean, we used to think, hey, what's this like? They want something and they don't want to pay for it. So that's exactly where all the innovation happens. And I'll give you examples how people innovate. I mean, they actually think this is a market. There are people who want to see the video and don't want to pay for it. And that's a huge, huge population. What about all the FMCGs? This, they think, is a great market for them. They will give you a free product and have all their advertisements embedded on that. And they're willing to pay for your data, they're willing to pay for the content, they're willing to pay for everything. So, and that's how all the innovation, I mean, that's why I said in the beginning, you need to think beyond just the norm. So there are companies just fighting for that kind of accessing. And this market is not a small market. When I tell you, there are 4.5 crore people who are just migrant laborers who live in one state, go to some other place just because they have some work for a short while, 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, whatever it is. Then they keep on moving one place to another place. And all of them have cell phones. They have to keep in touch with their families, and they need entertainment while they are working. So this is a market, and all the FMCGs want to capture that market. So this is what they call the bottom of the pyramid. And that's, in fact, recently you must have seen a lot of articles that all the big companies want to invest in the bottom of the pyramid market segment. So if I just summarize, you take the mobile broadband, as they call it, which includes 3G, 4G, LTE, Wi-Fi, all that put together, that is only 15% of the subscribers. This is on one report, but there's another report from KPCB which says it is 8% in India. It doesn't matter, 8 or 15 doesn't matter to us. But what I'm interested in is that 85% of the market. And that is a gold mine where people are willing to invest to capture that market. So this is a problem, it's worth solving, it is a great opportunity. So we had to kind of get into it. Thank you. So we'll slowly converge towards what the solution is. So how does your internet work right now? The entire internet traffic is a burst mode traffic. You click on a site, there's a kind of a splash of information on the screen, and it just tapers off. There's nothing continuously happening there. So it's called a burst mode traffic. There's just a burst and the traffic dies off. So what I can do is, if I have one line which has a certain capability, I can have 25 users and just use some probability to see how many will simultaneously use that and share the same line. It brings down the cost. Otherwise, for you to have a leased line of that size is going to be very expensive. But the kind of problem that we are dealing with is a video. Video can't I mean, it's no good for me to have a burst mode line. So all your connections, they always use the word up to 2 MB, up to 1 MB, whatever it is. That 1 MB will come as a spike and go off. If you put a video which requires 1 MB all the time, it will just die. So this is how the entire internet traffic or the infra is constructed. Second is the ability of a device to handle video. There's so many formats, there's so many standards. One format, like Apple came with its own form, the latest one is the HLS. Except Apple devices, nothing else, there's no other device which can handle it. So there are a whole lot of companies built just trying to make plugins with that technology. Microsoft is doing its own version of it. Apple, I mean, I don't know, you must be familiar with it. It's the HLS. technology, and Microsoft is working with smooth stream technology. There's one factor which was forgotten. I think we probably need to revisit our basic physics when it came to videos. We all know persistence of vision and how many frames and 16 frames per second, and then most of the movies, they duplicate a frame and do 32 frames per second to remove the flick. I mean, there's a lot of technology that goes there. The ability of a human eye to resolve the details of a picture. So unless you, I mean, you need to get into that level of detail. That is one. It's very important. Otherwise, you can't solve the problem. So there are a lot of, there is a new trend. In fact, a lot of universities are doing research on what is called context-based encoding. Or like, there's a lot of research which says that when you're looking at a video, your span of vision is in a certain area. I need a high resolution in that part. In the corner of a frame, why do I need that high resolution? Why do I look at it? Your hero-heroine part is covered. Some tree leaf somewhere in the corner, it's not too important. So this is what is called context-based encoding. And of course, the long, I spilled water here. Lost touch with the Chennai heat. See the long form content, I think I explained to you, the start times are unusually high when you're dealing with long form content. So that's something. Yeah, next slide. So what we really had to do is start the video problem at the very grassroots basic level. First thing we had to do was to build a player of our own. Right from scratch, we built our own player, which can work on different devices. Okay, before I come to those details, okay, broadly what it really takes for me for the video there that was streamed live. So what really is the technology hiding behind that? So this kind of explains to you what is there. So I have actually an application here, which is like a Netflix. We did this for a company in Bombay called Digitainment. So they aggregated about 3,000 movies from different labels. They used our technology and backend completely. So we created this. So we have Hollywood, Bollywood, all the 4 regional languages, there's a whole lot of languages that are available. So we launched this on, so first we launched it on the Nokia Lumia devices. And later on, of course, when the merge happened, the Microsoft people took it over. In fact, when Lumia 625 was launched, the entire ad campaign was based on this. So this is a certain technology. So what actually goes into it? So this roughly gives you architecture of what the system is. I'm sure you guys understand it, or okay, I'll just make it very simple. So your input can come in any of those forms. It can come as satellite feed or cable head-end or linear feeds. Can be a video repository, in which, in this case, it's a video repository. You need to, pre-process it. You have to encode it. And that's where our servers sit. And this encoding is a complex process. These are very powerful machines. It takes a long time to do this encoding. So it's in the cloud. So we have close to 100 CPUs just doing the encoding. Then we have the ingest and the origin servers. So that entire thing is on the cloud. We use both Amazon as well as Azure, depending on the kind of applications that we have. Then, of course, we have the Akamai, where it's the content distribution, the CDN as they call it, the content distribution network. Then we have the applications, a small piece of code which has the player and the application that has to go into every device that wants to use the application. Now this application is a variable. The backend is the same. It has all the standard APIs. This can be on a feature phone. It can be on a smartphone or a laptop or a tab or a. So we also do it for the gaming consoles like Xbox. We are the only company today to be on Xbox for in India. That's it. Okay. Yeah. Next. Okay, I think this is avoidable complexity. Okay, I'll just say a few words on this. When I stream a movie, who's going to pay for it? So as I said, the ability to pay is low, but I still want that market. So the only option left for me is advertisements. So like your television, I should have the ability to insert an ad into the movie. This ad is a completely, it's a huge subject by itself. There are, I think I can probably talk an hour just on this advertising part. But very briefly, what happens is when you insert a video in a program, the technology to insert that video, that's a complex piece. I mean, you could take projects on that and come back with really good solutions out there. That's one area. Second is there are standards that we have to be compliant with. You can't simply follow non-standard stuff. So there are standard agencies out there. They're global standards on the organizations like MMA. So we have to be VAST compliant. That's one of the standards. Then we have to also be SECT compliant. So those are certain standard compliances, which is standard APIs and standard. So those are certain things that we need to look at. Actually, I mean, just to give you a glimpse into what that complexity out there is, there are a whole lot of companies supplying ads to me. There is a cricket match happening. What I do, the way it works is, I say, okay, someone's hit a 6 or the match is, at a real turning point. The ad rates, I just keep increasing. So there is a bidding that keeps happening. Whoever is going to be paying me. So the systems decide which ad I'll take. And all this happens online. And these are huge systems. And these are all those big MNCs, be it IBM, Accenture, all those people are the ones which put these systems together and run it actually. And that's where all the money is. Okay. So we have to, we also had to really get into that bit of it. So some of those pieces we had to plug in. So you can see how the system is just expanding bigger and bigger while we get into it. Yeah, next slide. So what does it mean by saying that best streaming experience? One is no buffering waits, quick start times, long form content capable. It reaches 85% of the market. My ability with the video to reach 85% of the market, that I think is a very, very high value proposition, which I can go to an FMCG and tell them, look, I can take your ads to them. And that's one of the challenges, or that's one of the key value propositions. What happens if the bandwidth is very high? So a lot of situations you do come across where you say, I don't have a bandwidth problem, I have a very high bandwidth. So what happens there is we bump up the quality. For the same quality, we tell them that 20% reduction in data rates. So that's the kind of reduction. Offers pre-post, mid-roll. Mid-roll is the complex part of it. Pre-post is fairly simple. Another thing is the DRM. So when we went to the labels like Sony and Paramount, they said, there's no way I can give you my movie because you could mess around with it, you could copy it or whatever, unless you can prove to me that you have a DRM in place. So we built our own DRM. We sent it to the labs. We got it certified by them. It's still not certified. There are standard DRM certifying bodies like Telcordia and others. So we still haven't done because they charge us a huge amount of money. The bare minimum there is about $50,000 I had to pay just to get a certificate. But these labs have approved, so they have given us content based on the DRM that we have developed. Now what we really do in the DRM, definitely don't expect me to tell you what we really do, because that's where the entire IP is all about. Another requirement in the market is video on demand as well as live streams. These are two different problems that we have to solve. The live streams is also a requirement. I can't have a system which works only in this part and doesn't work somewhere else. So when I build a system, it has to be built across everything. Let me see. I think probably I've covered a lot of it, except yeah, I think we can skip this. I think I've covered this part of it. Okay, so in the platform, what is it that we do to really solve this problem? So one is we do network profiling. We profile the network. The player profiles the network all the time. It keeps measuring the bandwidth that is available. Now, the algorithm to measure that again is proprietary, because what law of averaging we use and how it works, and so all that is. Then we do device profiling. Before we send a video to a device, we have to profile exactly what that device is, what the ability of that device is. We use adaptive multi-bitrate encoding. There is still room for a lot of research. In fact, I was speaking to Mr. Chandy, and we're trying out something using fractals, how to compress videos. Then, okay, so what are the kind of player? The player that we have built, it works on feature phones. In fact, this is a problem that I also want to give to a lot of computer science students. So when we started trying to build a circular buffer on a Java or J2ME on a small feature phone, I mean, that's a huge challenge. You just don't have the instruction sets available to do these kind of things. I mean, if there are students interested, really, talking to us. So those are some of the problems that I can give you. Smartphones, yeah, we cover Android, Windows, iOS, PCs, tabs, Windows 8, 8.1, gaming consoles like Xbox. Another important feature is to have a DRM on a phone. DRM is available on PCs and other areas. To have a DRM on the phone, that's something a little special. That's it's complex, because to decrypt a video on a phone is a challenge. It just doesn't have that processing power. So what is it that you can do? So those are problem areas that one has to work on. Yeah. The way we also had to do a lot of experiments and modify the way we packetize videos. It's not just about encoding. The way we packetize the videos, that's we had to modify that. What are the business models and what are the opportunities if we solve the problem? Where do we sell? Telcos, all the Airtels and Aircels, Idea, whoever. Then device OEMs like Microsoft, Nokia, Samsung. TV channels. We are working with Star television channels. The Star Sports is going to come with our platform. Then content owners like all your Paramounts and Sonys and Yash Raj films, to anyone and everyone. The areas that we still not address is, of course, the online education. Perhaps, the IIT can take a lead on some of these areas. And Our Prime Minister has made it very clear that remote classroom is going to be a very important facet of growth further down to reach schools. I don't know how many people here have visited really, really remote areas. I've been to Chhattisgarh on the invitation of the Chief Minister there, and so they were trying to solve this problem of getting, in fact they don't have data of who comes to school, how many teachers come to school. The schools are such remote locations. And the first thing that surprised me was in a state like Chhattisgarh, he told me that there are 22,000 schools. It's a completely mind-boggling number that we have to deal with. So there's just huge opportunities for all those who really venture into the startup world, and there's just opportunities everywhere. Video advertisements, and that's another thing. Then very recently we put together, because we had all the pieces together, we also had a rich communication capability. So we put together a solution of video conferencing. Now you can tell me, hey, Skype is there, why the hell do I need video conferencing for someone else? Now Skype is a public system. If I am a company, I would not put my data on Skype when I share files or whatever, because that's public data, and security is one of the primary factors. So almost all the enterprises would want their own closed video conferencing solutions. So this we put together for a group of journalists for a sports channel in UK. There's a channel called BSkyB. So they wanted us to develop a video conference solution based on iPads. So they have the field journalists all over the world. So we recently, just about 2 days back, they tested it between Bangalore, Delhi and London, video conference, and they were pretty happy about it. So that's offshoot or a derivative of the back-end technology that we've built. So that's an opportunity as well. Yeah. So this is, I mean, just it's to give you an idea. There's a little bit of sales pitch, don't mind that. Just to tell you that it's been installed in a lot of places. There is I mean, what I was playing on the movies that came from a Netflix equivalent here in India called Your Movies. In fact, the Samsung Galaxy S4 launch, they had a product called My Movies, and they used our platform to launch that. So a very identical product called Your Movies came up, and this is going to go into all those Windows and Xbox all over there. Idea Cellular is going to launch Idea Movies very soon, perhaps by about December, Jan, and that's entirely powered by our platform. Then of course there are a lot of other things there. Yeah, even the cable networks. The cable networks, there is a very interesting market that has emerged. Tata Sky launched a second screen concept where on your mobile phone you can see all your Tata Sky channels just by paying 60 rupees. This was a big hit. Within a few months they had about 2 million subscribers. And so now anyone and everyone there wants to have this as a necessity. So we did, DEN is the biggest cable network in India, DEN, GTPL, Hathway. So we did a complete POC out there, and I did it successfully. Yeah. Yeah, this is a team, and look, actually quite interesting. There's one more guy from IIT Chennai out there, and the other guys from IIT Kharagpur. Yeah, we can, I think I pretty much done. Thanks, and I don't know, I didn't keep track of time, probably overrun on that. Open to questions, either on startups or on videos or whatever. So first thing is, Thanks for the patient hearing. I wasn't too sure that so many people would like or continue to listen to me. Open to any feedback on this, whether too less technical, too high technical, or not enough information, or whatever it is. So, fine. Okay. Thanks a lot. It's always a pleasure to come back and to the alma mater and talk to them. Okay? Great. Yeah, please.
So Brahmaya, your talk was wonderful. I am Ramesh, 73 batch BTech ME.
Great.
You see, what is happening is, there is a program called NPTEL, where videos on subjects have been taken.
Mm-hmm.
And the point is, it is meant for mostly the engineering colleges
Yeah.
in and around India. And what is happening is, the guys don't see the videos. The students don't see the videos.
Mm-hmm.
They have spent lakhs of money on that.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they discovered that students don't do this,
Mm-hmm.
they formed another company
Mm-hmm.
called Classday.
Mm-hmm.
Why I am talking is because my wife works there.
Okay.
Anyway, it is headed by an IITian also called Vardarajan.
Okay.
Classday. What they do is, they are getting a lot of fun into the video. So they have competitions between the students. They give prizes. Make them see the videos and also re-script the videos. Have a good this thing. Because the video, unfortunately, a person who is a PhD in electronics, okay, he gives a video. His accent may not be very good. His looks also may not be very good. He may be a bald guy or whatever it is, grey or whatever. So, what they have found is, they put a voiceover. That is, whatever he is talking, they put a voiceover with someone like, say, P.C. Ramakrishna, who is a TV guy.
Mm-hmm.
His voice will be used. So this type of thing, technology is also there. So what the point I want to drive at is, it is not enough having the videos and screening it on your mobile or wherever. People have to see it. A battle in the market is a battle for your mind's perceptions.
Yeah.
If you get the eyeballs of a guy seeing your video, your battle is halfway done. If he's not looking at your video, it won't be done. How do you get him to look at your video? Maybe Amitabh Bachchan, Aishwarya could be the script, say the script. Then they will look at it.
I don't know.
How do you handle this?
See, I don't have a very objective answer here. I can give a very opinionated statement out here based on my personal view of it. If I had Aishwarya Rai or Amitabh Bachchan telling me about vibrations and those, I don't think I'll even watch that video. I would like a nice bald professor with a beard or something telling me, be it physics or any of these subjects. I think our ability to connect is a lot better out there. That's one. I think video is not an alternative to a teacher. Video is not a replacement for a teacher. Where the video has to be used is certain expertise that's available in small pockets you want to access. There has to be a teacher sitting there and bring the context of that video to the students there in the class and say, look, this part of it, please see this video and understand. And the preamble and the post of it, that the teacher has to give a continuity. Otherwise, the purpose is not watching the video. The purpose is education. And that cannot be diluted. This is my personal opinion again there.
Exactly. You're right on that. The point is this, that the video should be seen by the target audience. Okay. Yep. And this is a startup. This Classday is a startup which is also doing very well.
Okay.
And they have actually got a lot of campus-related things like games between students, fun activities, frequently asked questions. And anyone can create a course and put it on the video. If you have religion, say Hindu religion, you want to put a course, they will take it. They'll pay you for it also.
Yeah,
they have 2 lakh hits. By the way, they have 2 lakh hits from the student community.
Yeah, okay. Again, personally, as I said, if I would like to separate out the business and the education. Education should be above the business aspects of it. See, if you make education a business, there is a business-centric drive. If you watch 20 videos, I'll give you one biscuit packet or so, I don't know, whatever it is. It just doesn't make sense at all. I mean, what has the guy learned out of the video? I think that's for me a lot more important. So video is more an aid for teaching than a primary piece of education. It's not an alternative to teacher or a professor. This, I think, is... There's one piece which I completely forgot in the whole talk, which I just wanted to show. Now, this is a video I'm streaming on a mobile phone. This is on a 2G network. In this auditorium, you don't get 3G. This is on a 2G network. It's streaming live. Huh? Yeah. Yeah. The technology is not tied to the app. This is a specific application which is using our technology. Anyone can use our technology. I mean, it could be your education. Tomorrow you come to me with all the education videos, I'll just put it on our backend, and everyone will be able to watch it on a 2G network. BlackBerry, the number is so small. In fact, the head of BlackBerry, Annie Matthew, has been after us to please do it for BlackBerry. So I said, no, we don't have time for that. The volume is just negligible. This is a live stream.
When you said startup, like, I passed out in 1990 from here.
90?
I passed out in 1990 from IIT Madras.
Oh, great. Okay.
Now, I just want to understand if there are also business opportunities for oldies like us to,
Yeah. Actually, by age, I should be a retired person. I'm 60 plus.
Yeah, so, our companies tied up with TCS for this online
Right.
education. So is there something where a company like yours could work with, on the online education? And
Yes.
if you want to have a startup in that direction, how do we really go about it?
Yeah, I think you can elaborate a little bit more on who the partners are. See, you need a content partner first. If IIT is the content provider, we can be the technology provider, but then you need the third partner who's going to be the business driver. I mean, we can do everything and put it in a library, it's of no value. Someone has to use it. So that business partner, someone has to come in. So whoever is, for whom education is a vertical that they want to create business around, that should be fine. It could be TCS. In fact, we do work with Tech Mahindra. Not in education, in something else.
I'll just discuss with this afterwards.
We can discuss. Actually, I was expecting more questions from the students. In fact, the couple of just observations. Pardon me, if I'm just going out of time, then maybe I'll just have a separate talk. Yeah, okay.
One last question.
Yeah.
So I've used a music streaming
Yeah.
app, Spotify, and I kind of can draw analogy between these two companies.
Yeah.
So even Spotify does music streaming. It has a music repository, and it does stream without buffering and stuff.
Right.
But there was a recent article in New York Times which I read saying that that company's revenue model is basically ads, and it also has paid subscriber thing, but there are a lot less paid subscribers for the company. And so there was an article in New York Times saying that these kind of streaming companies, say it music or video, any streaming company which solely relies on ads as revenue model, they're not going to make profits. So I just wanted to understand how your company is actually making profits, or at least, I mean, meeting the variable cost in the market.
Yeah, I think it's a good assumption that we are sustaining. So that's, I'll tell you where, so there are two business models out here. You're a B2C business model where you're directly capturing your customers. There's another model which is B2B. We were earlier a B2C model. We had close to 4 million downloads and 1 million subscribers, but we were losing money. We were spending more money to keep them alive than we were getting out of it. So we stopped that business completely, got out of it. So we are now only a technology provider. So, in fact, there were a couple of, just pardon me, I mean, just one quick one. I'm sure a whole lot of you must be using Facebook. In fact, very recently there was a statement from, I think, the CEO of Apple who said a company like Facebook or any of these, Google or any of these companies, for them they create a product, give it free and get people to use it. When people use it, the people are the product that they sell to outside. See that business model there. And that's exactly why the valuations are so huge. There is a company, have you heard of Snapchat? How many of you have heard of Snapchat? Yeah. What was the business model of Snapchat? Why did it become so valuable, 10 billion? Yeah, but what's so special about a short time? No, not at all. See, the reason was, in Facebook, a lot of people put information long back. When they grew, a lot of information out there is all mischief. Students, kids, saying all kinds of things. When they grew up, when they applied for jobs, for universities, they went back to the Facebook of this person to see what was his track record. And people were rejected for admissions, people were rejected in jobs based on that. So Facebook has a track in the servers of everything that you have done in the past. So Snapchat said, we will solve exactly this problem. You do all your mischief, there's no track, no trace. You have your fun, there's no trace of it. And that exactly is, it's the innovation. What exactly are you hitting? As you have to get your finger right on the right button. That's important.
Thank you, sir, for such a wonderful talk. I didn't realize that there is so much happening behind the screen. So thank you so much. Now may I request Professor L.S. Ganesh to present Shri Brahmayya with a memento.
Incidentally, we are very good friends. We've gone on long walks in IIT together. I must thank Nagarajan, I must really thank you. In the past few occasions, you've got a lot of my personal friends. God bless you. And you didn't know that, actually. Okay. Ramesh, the head of Classel, is Vaidyanathan, computer science alumnus. And they are in the education space. There are some just for correcting what you said. Okay. Vaidyanathan. Yeah, sure. So thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Very nice meeting you.
Yeah, thanks to be with you on the same stage. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.